I've decided to try adding a little bit of video to my blog entries for the Javelin, and I thought one of the first ones I could do before I put it back in the car um, is to kind of do a tour of the dashboard gauge cluster that I put together. Um, Turn it over for you and show you what it looks like. Hopefully you can get a good shot of that. Autometer phantom gauges, just a pretty basic setup with a tach and a speedo, water temp, volts, oil pressure, and fuel gauge, and then just LEDs for the turn signals, the brights, and for the emergency brake. Um, if you know what a Javelin gauge cluster looks like normally, um, this came out of a car with AC, so there was actually an AC vent here. There's another one across here, and then the radio opening is here. So what I did, and then of course there's normally three openings here, one for your speedo, and one for your tach, and um, one for the other gauges, your tic-toc or whatever, tic-tac. So the first thing I did was I basically filled in all those holes. I just got some ABS plastic from the plastic place and some essentially bumper adhesive. This is stuff called Duramix here, and I welded, essentially plastic welded all those pieces in, and then used some body filler and basically created a blank that I could then go ahead and create my new holes for the gauges and the things I wanted. Um, this here is for the headlight switch. Um, Normally on a Javelin, obviously you'd have the four stand-up switches for the various accessories, the lights and the wipers and the dash lights. Um, I wasn't a big fan of those, so I got rid of them, and I just went to a pick and pull and got a pretty typical Motorcraft headlight switch. It's a push-pull, and then you turn it for the dash dimmer, and all the way turning it clicks it to give you the courtesy light on. Um, so once I drilled all my new holes for the gauges, and I grafted in the bezel for the Motorcraft switch, and then also I grafted in this wiper switch, which I think came out of some kind of a Dodge truck, also from the pick and pull. I then painted the whole thing with some spray on texture, and then hit it with some trim black. And it came out pretty well. One of the problems, though, is it already quickly started to develop some cracks. Um, and I should have thought about that. If I was going to do this again, what I would do is, well, I'm not sure what I would do, but one thing I might try is to put on a layer of fiberglass and resin to sort of lock in all that body work that um, I'd done, and then put the texture and the paint over that. So let me flip it over and kind of look at it from the back. So the back looks a lot more messy, but basically this is all the Duramix stuff here holding the filler pieces in, where I've grafted all this stuff in. I got the ideas for how to do a lot of this stuff from basically from audio forums. The guys do a lot of customizing there, and they create their own speaker enclosures, and that's where I found out about Duramix. Just kind of took some of those concepts there and applied them to this. Obviously did all the wiring again, and then went to my local electronics place and picked up one of these. It's called a Molex Connector, and it was really convenient to work with. You just crimp an end onto all your wires, and then they just pop right into the connector. I've had it in the car. All the gauges work. Headlight switch works, which I've wired separately. Only problems I've had is I've broken the legs off a couple of the LEDs for the turn signals and the brakes a couple of times, which is annoying. Hopefully they're going to survive. Mostly they were broken off because of all the manhandling I've been doing with it. But now that I think it's basically done and I've got everything wire tied, I'm hoping that they're going to hold up. So before long, this will be back in the car. I wouldn't say forever, but hopefully for a good while before I have to pull it out again. So that's the tour of the custom dash.